Hey guys, and welcome to Yagami Fireside Chats, where we talk about the sort of fighting game nonsense that's rattled around in my brain forever. This is going to be the first in a series focusing on one of the most important but underappreciated facets of fighting games. Fighting.
Come again.
Okay, bear with me here, because how can fighting be underappreciated in fighting games, right? It's what they're all about. We all know what fighting looks like in games like Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Tekken, or like a dozen other games. But how much do you think about the way the characters are fighting? The way they're moving, the attacks they're using, hell, the stances they're in. How much does what you see from them actually tell you about the character and their fighting style? How much does that fighting style tell you about that character? How much sense does the pairing of those two things make? Sure, when you see characters like Balrog or TJ Combo, it's really clear what style they're using just by looking at the character. They're boxers. They use boxing. You don't need to think any more than that. Case closed. Or let's take a look at this. Most fighting game players know King is a pro wrestler. Not that King. Definitely not that King. Oh my God, that's a deep cut. Yeah, wait, no, you know what? Screw it, that's close enough. But what about one of the biggest fighting game franchises? Street Fighter's bloodier, bone-breaking, brutal arcade brother, Mortal Kombat. What fighting styles do these classic and not so classic characters use? Is Sonya Blade secretly a karateka? Does Baraka use Outworld Tai Bo? And if he does, can I get a VHS copy? Anyway, Johnny Cage is inspired by Jean-Claude Van Damme. Does that mean he's trained like JCVD in the deadly fighting art of ballet? Seriously, look it up, he knows ballet. At the very least, we know Liu Kang, who's inspired by Bruce Lee, fights in the movie icon's own martial art of Jun Fan, aka Jeet Kune Do. Or is it karate? No, wait. Pao Chui. Pao Chui is Liu Kang's fighting style. Pao Chui, an ancient form of Kung Fu whose name translates to... Okay, seriously, we're back to Jun Fan. Alright, so now maybe you understand why I'm making this video series. Fighting styles in Mortal Kombat are a mess, and they pretty much always have been. Sometimes Mortal Kombat has given lip service to consistency for a character with their fighting style sticking around, but all too often those fighting styles just bounce between characters willy-nilly between games, and sometimes fighting styles have been given to characters that have just always been a bad fit. In a series like Street Fighter, where characters like Sagat, famously associated with Muay Thai, are becoming increasingly recognizable practitioners of their styles, Mortal Kombat has always seemed to struggle to nail down what martial arts its characters use. To a guy like me, a massive fighting game fan and martial arts junkie, that's a real problem. Fighting styles are supposed to inform characters. They're supposed to help build a visual language for that character that the games then bring forward into new iterations so that we feel an ongoing connection to that character. This is the spot that Mortal Kombat has really been struggling with. Fighting style is character identity, and that part of character identity has been really inconsistent in Mortal Kombat. It's something it's really lacked. So let's address that with a series I'm calling Making a Martial Artist, Mortal Kombat Edition. Ooh, nice splash logo. In this series, we're going to review Mortal Kombat characters and what, if any, martial arts styles have been assigned to them in the past, determine why that was or wasn't a good fit for them, and then I'm going to choose what I think is the best option for them as a martial arts style. Since Mortal Kombat also heavily incorporates weapons, especially since MK4 and onward, we'll pick a weapon for them too, and I'll explain my reasoning for that. Hopefully, we'll be able to learn a bit about these awesome unarmed, and sometimes armed, combat forms as we go. Let's make this fun and educational. No, not educational like that. Yeah, there we go. So, without further ado, Sonya, kick us off. That's what we're going with? Yeah, okay. So our first character review going to be the man, the myth, the Mortal Kombat legend and champion, Liu Kang. We discussed him a little bit in his absolute buffet of combat styles, and that's without even going into him having monkey and dragon kung fu in Shaolin monks for a couple moves. Speaking of Shaolin monks, NetherRealm, where's the remaster? Just forget it, you'd screw it up anyway. When talking about Liu Kang, there's actually some pretty good stuff going on with him when it comes to his fighting style. To understand Liu Kang's ideal fighting style, we need to understand Liu Kang. So, what do we know about him? He was adopted by the Shaolin Temple because he possessed something pretty much all great superheroes have. Dead parents. Seriously, basically all the great superheroes are orphans. Batman's parents got gunned down. Superman's parents died so hard they took the planet with them. Goku's parents got blown up by a space tyrant. And yes, Goku is a superhero. He flies around and punches alien invaders in the face. That's like superhero 101 shit. So after his parents croaked, Lil Lu was taken in by the Shaolin Temple, and he was inducted into a part of the Shaolin known as the Order of Light, a group which, besides sounding like a cult recruiting at your local airport, is one of the oldest religious orders on Earth, and is devoted to spiritual enlightenment and non-violence. Already you're asking, wait, if Liu Kang is part of a group that practices non-violence, what's he doing in the death tournament?
Fucking whoops.
Okay, so that's where we peel another layer of the Shaolin onion to get to the White Lotus Society. What you need to understand is the Order of Light has their own training grounds called the Wuxi Academy, where they do teach martial arts as part of physical health, meditation, and all that jazz. Just not to kick the shit out of people. But the White Lotus Society is a secret group made by the Order of Light and Raiden to help pick warriors to defend Earth from threats posed by other realms like Outworld. Basically, Liu Kang kicked such a copious amount of ass in martial arts as part of the Order of Light that the White Lotus Society had him join to help kick copious amounts of extra dimensional ass in the defense of Earth realm. So, from orphan to monk to defender of the entire earthly dimension. Pretty badass origin, right? So what's that mean for Liu's fighting style? So, trained by the Shaolin, it would make sense for Liu Kang to practice martial arts connected to that tradition. At the same time, he's also inspired directly by Bruce Lee, so it could also make sense for him to use martial arts connected to him. Mortal Kombat actually does halfway decent with both of these options across Liu Kang's martial arts existence in the games, but only halfway decent, and we're going to see why. Let's start off with what's most often cited as Liu Kang's martial art of choice, Junfan. Most of the time, you're going to see this used in places like the Mortal Kombat wiki as being interchangeable with Jeet Kune Do, and it kinda is. Junfan Jeet Kune Do was an attempt to formalize Bruce Lee's philosophy of Jeet Kune Do into an organized, fixed methodology of combat, all revolving around Bruce Lee's own techniques. In fact, Junfan was Bruce Lee's birth name, Lee Junfan. So Junfan Jeet Kune Do is literally Bruce Lee's Jeet Kune Do. Following? Here's the big problem. Philosophically, Jeet Kune Do wasn't supposed to have an organized formal system to it. It's kind of against the entire concept.
Because style is a crystallization, you know? I mean, that way, it's a process of continuing growth.
Basically, they were trying to formalize something devoted to a lack of formality. It's like trying to insist people wear suits and ties to monster truck rallies. That shit's not happening. In fact, it's so not happening that Junfan Jeet Kune Do dissolved before 2010. Not sure if they were dissolved formally or informally, though. Which would be more ironic. So, now we know what Junfan is, and yeah, that makes some sense for Liu Kang, right? It's Bruce Lee's personal style, and Liu was inspired by Bruce, but it also is kind of a bastardization, at least in some people's eyes, of Bruce's style. Alright, let's put that on the back burner. So what about that Shaolin part of Liu's background? Well, karate is straight out because it's Japanese and Liu had a traditional martial arts training in China, not Japan. Also, I'm having a hard time substantiating that, and I think it being attributed to Liu might only be part of some old manuals for MK2. If anyone knows, put it in the comments and I'll give you a shout out for sure. Let's move on to a style given to Liu in Deception, Pao Chi. What do we know about it? Well, as I was saying earlier before, it's cannon punch style. That is literally what the name means, cannon punch. If that's not an absolutely badass name, I don't know what it is. In fact, its full name is San Huang Pao Chi, which translates to Three Emperors Cannon Fist. I apologize if my pronunciation is off, but I'm doing as good as I can. And honestly, that name, Three Emperor's Cannon Fist, just makes the name even more badass. As we talk about more fighting styles in this series, you're going to find a lot of names you've seen but never translated for martial arts styles are really, really cool. This style is pretty old too, going back to the 1600s, and it was a style adopted into the Shaolin early on. One of the first we know of, actually. It's a style that strongly revolves around concepts of hard and soft motions linked to the idea of yin and yang. Where have I seen that before? Yeah, see? In MKX, Liu has a variation called Duelist, and note that's Duelist, D-U-A-L, and not D-U-E-L, like you'd normally use to refer to a fighter. So we're talking about duality here, not a one-on-one duel. And we can see the yin-yang motif come up in this variations animations all the time. Some pretty neat conceptual overlap there with his Pao Chi from Deception, even if it's not on purpose. So yeah, Three Emperors Cannon Fist isn't a bad choice for Liu either. You could say it's not a bad choice as his canon style? Alright, edit that out. All in all, the choices for Liu Kang have been pretty solid, but I wouldn't call them spot on. So how would I approach him? Just one minor change, really. Change Junfan to Jeet Kune Do and lean into that, since Junfan is not really a fighting style per se, and it wouldn't represent Liu Kang's entire fighting philosophy. If I wanted to be real specific about what to name it, I'd suggest calling Liu Kang's style personal style based on Shaolin forms and Bo Rai Cho's teaching, and leave it at that. Liu would live by the Jeet Kune Do methodology of incorporating what works and discarding what doesn't. His style would be entirely unique to him by design, but since people love naming stuff in games, we could just call it Jeet Kune Do. Also, notice I mentioned Bo Rai Cho teaching Liu? Yep, that's been part of his background for a while now, and Bo isn't using traditional Shaolin martial arts. Believe it or not, farting and puking on your opponents isn't a big focus in most Kung Fu, but UFC would be a hell of a lot more interesting if it was. So, since Bo Rai Cho didn't teach Liu Shaolin styles, we shouldn't limit Liu Kang's fighting style to just one Shaolin form, be it Pao Chi or Chang Quan, Baji Quan, Wing Chun, Hung Gar, Choi Li Fut, or any of the other styles that have been taught by the Shaolin. Liu Kang's instruction encompasses more than just Shaolin teaching, so it can't just be Shaolin style. You follow? So that's that. Jeet Kune Do for Liu Kang. Now, I also mentioned earlier choosing a weapon for all these characters we're going through, and for Liu Kang, that one's really super easy. Liu has had 3 weapons previously in games. The Dragon Sword and Huan Chains are straight out. They're not an option. The sword is way too lethal, and yes, I am one of those people that think it's way cooler if Liu doesn't kill his opponents. And the chains are for zombie Liu Kang, or Lobo, I guess. They don't make sense for a Liu that didn't huff Trioxin or the T-Virus. Wait, did Capcom choose T for the T-Virus from Trioxin, then link it to the T in Tyrant after the fact? Note to self, look into... Sorry, momentarily distracted there. So with the sword and chains out, that leaves us the nunchaku Liu uses in Deception, Armageddon, and then in MK11. We're not changing these as our weapon choice. Why? Take it away, Bruce.
Combat time!
No, Bruce. Take it away, Bruce. They don't even sound alike. There's a different amount of syllables in them. See? They're perfect for Liu not only as a callback to Mr. Lee Jun-fan himself, but because they represent Liu perfectly. They're not only non-lethal, generally speaking, because, yeah, you can crack someone in the head with them and kill them, but let's face it, they're a lot less lethal than a dragon sword, and they're stylish as hell. How are you not going to want to see Liu Kang break these out and go all game of death on someone? Plus, Liu Kang ping pong nunchaku minigame? Come on. I'd play it. So that's our look at Liu Kang and his fighting styles along with what I picked for him. Next time we're going to look at 2 combatants. Who are they? Well, I'll announce one soon on the channel, so subscribe to find out. And I think I might let you guys suggest the second. Look at that! Promising community interaction in my first video. Anyway, until next time, and remember it's...
Combat time!
Sonya, shut up! Okay, no, is this like a rule of 3 comedy thing? This isn't going to be a thing. We're not doing this. Okay? Alright. And, as always, if you like the sound of my voice, like and subscribe, then watch more of my videos. Or, if you don't like the sound of my voice, like and subscribe, hit mute on YouTube, then watch more of my videos. Later, guys.